I'm pretty sure the banter between us is going to get good right here. Jon Jones, Ciryl Gane, and the reason I know this is because of the text message exchange me and Pete were having yesterday. Is I had to shoot him with that GIF. Oh, you crazy!
All right, well let's kind of lay it out right here. We have Jon Jones coming off a long hiatus, getting back into action, not at his natural weight class as a light heavyweight, looking to do the impossible and move up to heavyweight. And the gap between light heavyweight and heavyweight is significant. And I do think that is being underestimated in a situation like this, because going from light heavy to heavy is unlike anything else, because, I would traditionally say the skill level of heavyweights does not match up with the skill level of light heavyweights. But within that lack of skill, there is significant weight difference. This is essentially like a 55er going to middleweight. There is a significant gap in that weight. And I got to tell you, man, Ciryl Gane's a big boy, and he does not move like a heavyweight at all. If we had Jon Jones going in there against a plodding heavyweight, it's still Jon Jones at the end of the day. He's the greatest of all time. I love his skill set. And initially, when I was watching Ciryl Gane against Francis Ngannou, I'm pretty sure I tweeted, Jon Jones beats them both. So I'm full transparency. I said that. So then obviously I have to do my due diligence, and I have to put everything under a microscope and watch each one of these fighters' fights, check out the fight film and everything. And I'll tell you what, man, I don't know what this belief I had of Jon Jones, or this idea I had of Jon Jones. His past two performances were extremely poor. I did not like what I saw against Thiago Santos, who is a man basically on one leg, basically with no legs. And there was no finish there. There was a split decision there. Failed to secure his one takedown attempt. But it's the Dominic Reyes fight for me, where I was just like, really? You went 2 of 9 in the takedown department? And I just did not see that dominance within the wrestling game. And I know what everybody's going to point to. And everybody's going to say, well, Ciryl Gane got out-wrestled by a knockout artist in Francis Ngannou. You're completely right with that. I do think that there are some people underestimating the power and strength that Francis Ngannou has. Just the weight in general. He's a massive human being. And I do think that throwing a curveball in a striking matchup can actually throw off your opponent. There's no way Ciryl Gane was preparing for any defensive takedowns against Francis Ngannou, even though I think he should have. But it just threw him completely off. So, Jason, with all that being said, I do think that this is a tall order, even for a guy like Jon Jones to do, because 3 years away from the cage, ring rust is a factor. His past 2 performances aren't the best performances. Yes, the Alexander Gustafsson one was strong. Anthony Smith fight was okay, but it's the Thiago Santos and Dominic Reyes one where I really feel like everybody's just banking on a better and new and improved Jon Jones to show up. I really think that Ciryl Gane's going to shock some people. I'm telling you, the safe way to do this is that DraftKings scoring system favors takedown artists. Jon Jones at 8,400 is a broken price tag for a 5-round fight. I really think it is. If he gets a takedown, it could just be one and done, and he could secure a finish over Ciryl Gane. But this is heavyweight, man. We see heavyweights just stand up. We see like Derek Lewis with the most lack of skill in the stand-up department, getting back to his feet, but he just does. I do think that people are kind of overestimating what Jon Jones can do to Ciryl Gane, not from a technical standpoint, but from a strength standpoint. So I might be crazy, but I'm going to get to more Ciryl Gane this week to be different than I am Jon Jones. And if it sinks my ship, I'm okay with it. But I really think that Ciryl Gane's going to win this and spoil the return of Jon Jones. Can't wait to hear your counterpoint, Jason, because I already know you're a Jon Jones fan, so can't wait to hear it.
First off, you bring up point number 1. He got taken down 4 times with a guy with a blown out knee who is a brawler. Mm-hmm. Now, I think you can admit this. There are question marks on both sides of the equation. Are there more question marks on the Jon Jones equation? I believe there is. 3 years away. How does his body transformation translate into heavyweight from what we saw at light heavyweight? And you bring up a great point. His past 3 fights at light heavyweight were not the GOAT performances that we saw throughout Jon Jones's run as a 205-pound champion. You know, I know a lot of people have taken these digs at Jon Jones on how he's framed the guys that he's brought in to work with, Yorgan Castro, Walt Harris, Maurice Green. But I will turn that to people who want to say that. Who is Ciryl Gane working with? What are their credentials as mixed martial artists? I like, it's one of those things of, because we do, you know, I've tried to take in as much content as possible this week. And I'm like, who are the MMA wrestlers that Ciryl Gane is working with? That to me is a question mark. And I spoke about the show on my show on Wednesday, Pete. To me, if Ciryl Gane wins this fight, it's about making this a fight at range and stopping the takedowns. If you tell me this is a clinch, you know, phone booth type fight, I think it's Jon Jones' fight to lose, even without scoring a takedown.
Yeah, I mean, it all makes sense, and everything you're saying is completely right. I think that in all likelihood should happen. I'll tell you what, though, like, I think Jon Jones in a way is completely underestimating what's in front of him. Ciryl Gane's a massive human being with superior athleticism, great footwork. He's stressed that enough in his media, but I don't think that he's going to realize how difficult it's going to be to get a hold of him, because of just like, he hasn't had to deal with that in the light heavyweight division. He's going to get hit with shots. I think he's going to get busted up. And I think he's going to be in desperation mode, because if you go and you check out all of his fights, his most recent fights, it really leaves a lot to be desired. Like, I mean, Dominic Reyes, he went 2 of 9 in the takedown department, 0 of 1 against Thiago Santos, 3 of 8 against Anthony Smith, 1 of 5 against Alexander Gustafsson. In the previous matchup against Alexander Gustafsson, went 1 of 11. Granted, it could only take 1 from Jon Jones, but I saw Dominic Reyes get back to his feet, no problem at all. And I think the one situation could be Jon Jones's cardio. I think he's going to be surprised at how tired he gets carrying all this extra weight around, in addition to dealing with somebody who's superior, who has such a strength advantage come fight night. It's different when you're training with somebody, but I think under the lights, I don't know. I just think it's a lot for Jon Jones, and everybody's expecting it to be typical Jon Jones, go out there and dominate. The price point's broken. If you're a safe player, how could you go against the GOAT? I'm just telling you, I'm not that type of player. I'm going to go Ciryl Gane here at 7,800 just to be different. But I do think that this main event scores decently well. I really do, because if Jon Jones doesn't initiate grappling, I think Ciryl Gane kind of picks him apart from range en route to a decision, which at 7,800 is going to be enough.
Yeah, my concern about Ciryl Gane is just he's not exactly a volume puncher. So I mean that's the only thing that kind of concerns me. You know, looking over the prop market in this one, on the Jon Jones side, the one prop that's just juicy to me would be Jones winning via submission at plus 1,600. You know, looking at Ciryl Gane, the one that I would say sticks out to me the most is him winning via decision at plus 325.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that if Gane wins, it's probably by decision. I mean, we've seen Jon take some big shots. Even his striking, right? Like, I do think that, you know, he's so used to having superior reach within the light heavyweight division. Now he's like a typical heavyweight, you know, whereas like he's kind of like in a mirror match against Ciryl Gane as far as like frame goes. A little bit of a reach advantage for Jon still, but I think that even like a guy in Dom Reyes, like, I don't know. I just go back and I don't see the Jon Jones dominance that everybody else sees. I think and know the reputation of Jon Jones, and I think that's kind of what Vegas is doing, and that's why we've seen this line completely flip, and all the money's coming in on Jon Jones. I don't know, man. I'm going Ciryl Gane.
Look, I'll flat out say this: Jon Jones is a core cash play for me this week.
Makes sense. Yeah, he's probably the safest play as far as like resume is considered. You know, and it's like if Khabib Nurmagomedov's on the card, I'm not going to steer you away from it. But me personally, I think that Ciryl Gane is going to figure it out against Jon Jones.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the big question with Jon is just simply, you know, do you see any ring rust with him? You know, it's 3 years away, new weight class, all the pressure's on him. I mean, look, all you have to do is watch how the UFC has marketed this pay-per-view. It is, they are all in. All the chips are in the center of the table on Jon Jones. It's very clear who the UFC prefers to win this matchup.
Yeah, I also think I was expecting a different body transformation for Jon Jones.
Same.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's like he still kind of looks like an overblown light heavyweight. He doesn't really truly look like a heavyweight to me. He looks like a light heavyweight out of camp. He's still tall. His stature is great. His length is great. But for all this weightlifting, he's top heavy for sure. And I do think a guy who can chip away at the legs like Ciryl Gane, I think it could pose some problems for Jon Jones.